are authorized to hold hearings on the executive budget proposal. Tonight's hearing will be limited to a discussion of the governor's proposed budget as it pertains to workforce development. Following each presentation, there will be some time allowed for questions from the chairs of the fiscal committees and other legislators. I'd like to welcome Lola Brabham, Executive Deputy Commissioner from the New York State Department of Civil Service, and following her, the other state agencies will be the New York State Governor's Office of Employee Relations and the New York State Department of Labor. So, Executive Deputy Commissioner Brabham.
Thank you, and good afternoon, Chairman Young.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Chairman Farrell and distinguished members of the Senate Finance and Assembly Ways and Means Committees.
Hold the microphone a little bit.
I'm Lola Brabham, Executive Deputy Commissioner of the Department of Civil Service. I appreciate the opportunity to appear before you to comment on the Governor's 2016-17 budget. The Department continues to explore innovative ways to help agencies meet their workforce needs. Last year's enacted budget authorized the Department to work with pilot agencies to launch a civil service reform initiative designed to streamline processes and identify efficiencies related to workforce mobility, recruitment, and testing. The initiative has already yielded a number of valuable resources. For example, a workforce succession planning and knowledge transfer guide is currently being tested by the pilot agencies, and we anticipate it will be available to all agencies by the end of March. In the area of workforce mobility, the Department has been successful in consolidating job titles. While not impacting salary or compensation, title consolidation simplifies recruitment and increases opportunities for current employee mobility throughout the state workforce. It makes the examination process more efficient and expedites the establishment of eligible lists. I'm pleased to report that these efforts, which focus on the most populous titles common across state agencies, have already resulted in the consolidation of 20 clerical job titles into 4 and 40 human resource job titles into 20 that better reflect the more complex and modern role of the HR professional. The next phase of the Title Consolidation Initiative will focus on investigator titles and is expected to consolidate the current 88 agency-specific titles into 34 titles. In addition, the Department recently provided a new HR analytics tool, Workforce Analytics, to state agencies. The new system is a business intelligence tool that provides critical data for strategic HR management. The Department collaborated with the Division of the Budget, the Governor's Office of Employee Relations, and the Office of Information Technology Services to develop this tool. It provides HR professionals with access to reliable and consistent data, such as employee counts by title, years in title, service credits, and retirement tier information. State agencies and local governments rely on the Department for consistent and timely civil service examinations to meet their staffing needs for competitive positions. Over the past year, the Department administered nearly 5,000 examinations, testing over 140,000 candidates for state and local government titles. The Department continuously explores how to efficiently and effectively deliver examination services. To this end, the Department is working to streamline our examination programs and make better use of technology, including computer-based testing, in the delivery of our tests. The Department also released a request for information focused on expanding computer-based testing. Results from the RFI are being used to develop business requirements for the issuance of an RFP in 2016, designed to enhance our computer-based testing program. To expedite appointments to high-priority titles that require pre-employment examinations, we are implementing operational enhancements to our Employee Health Services Division. We plan to partner with agencies to strategically locate medical sites throughout the state to expedite examinations. Further, we'll improve services to Western New York and New York City by hiring additional medical personnel. We will enhance our network to provide psychological assessment services throughout the state to maximize available number of locations so candidates can more quickly meet pre-employment medical examination requirements. Increasing diversity in the state workforce is of critical importance, and the Department shares this responsibility with its client agencies. Outreach efforts complement the targeted recruitment of state agencies seeking skill sets tailored to their operational needs. Over the past year, the department participated in over 130 outreach efforts, connecting with 8,500 participants. Working with the state's Chief Diversity Officer, we are exploring ways of expanding our outreach to diverse communities. The department will continue to actively participate in recruitment events that serve minority populations, including conferences of the New York State Black, Puerto Rican, Hispanic, and Asian Legislative Caucus, Somos El Futuro, and the Legislative Conference of the Puerto Rican Hispanic Task Force. The department also continues to provide vital advice, assistance, and training to local governments across the state. We provide ongoing refresher training for experienced HR professionals and a comprehensive 3-week course annually for newly appointed administrators. In 2015, the department provided training to over 260 local government representatives. Regarding the department's role in administering the New York State Health Insurance Program, or NYSHIP, we continue to efficiently manage one of the largest public employer health insurance programs in the nation. NYSHIP covers over 1.2 million state and local government employees, retirees, and their families. Consistent with the governor's focus on fiscal discipline, the department works to ensure the integrity of the benefits program and the fundamental equity of the benefits enrollees receive. In line with this, the executive budget includes proposals to better structure and align health insurance premium contributions to restrain the growth of spending by the state. Last year, the department outlined a plan to audit NYSHIP enrollment to ensure that ineligible dependents do not claim or receive benefits. As part of the audit, a one-time amnesty period is authorized for members that self-identify any ineligible dependents. Once the period closes and the audit begins, enrollees will be required to provide proof of eligibility for their dependents. The department also continues to implement requirements of the Affordable Care Act, or ACA. We've been working with partner agencies, including the Office of the State Comptroller and the Office of Information Technology Services, to fulfill new ACA compliance reporting responsibilities, including annual reports and filings that must be provided to both employees and the Internal Revenue Service, that the state is providing affordable health coverage to its employees. Thank you for the opportunity to appear before you today, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you. I'd like to announce that we are joined from the Senate by Senator Jack Martins, Senator Rich Funke, Senator Diane Savino, and Senator Kathy Marchione. Senator Savino, do you have a question?
Before that, we've been joined by Assemblyman Bronson, Assemblyman Saladino, Assemblywoman Thorpe.
Thank you, Deputy Commissioner. I want to turn to your portion of your testimony with respect to the administration of exams for covered titles. In your testimony, you said over the past year, the department has administered nearly 5,000 examinations and tested over 140,000 candidates for state and local government titles. Do you have any idea how many of those people were offered a probable permanent position or a temporary, or any positions at all?
Well, in 2015, there were approximately 11,000 new hires.
Out of the 140,000 applicants, 11,000. Do you have an idea?
Now, the 140 also includes local governments too, and so I don't have information on how many of those individuals were hired.
And the reason I bring that up is because, I've had, over the past few years, I've had extensive discussions with your department, with your predecessor, Commissioner Boone, who's now at Tax and Finance, about the concerns that we have about the size of the state workforce, the amount of responsibilities the workforce is taking on, the amount of overtime that they're being forced to work because of the shortage of staff, and the fact that we are rapidly approaching a point where in any given year, we're losing thousands of employees to retirement. So I've been concerned about the issue of succession planning in all of these agencies. We have an aging workforce where the average age is 48. Average age at retirement is 59. During this year, 6% of the workforce is eligible to retire. And what we don't see is backfill in these agencies. It's a major concern, and I've yet to hear a response from anybody in civil service or in any of the agencies as to how they're going to manage the requirements and the mandates that are placed upon the agencies without sufficient staff.
Okay, Senator, yes, and I'm glad that you asked about succession planning, and I know that that's something that you're concerned about. And I'm happy to report that we are doing a lot of work around that area, and specifically, one of the focuses of civil service reform is succession planning. And over the past year, work groups have been meeting and staff have been meeting, and one of the things that we've done is develop a succession planning and knowledge transfer guide that we're going to be shortly making available to all state agencies. And what the guide does is really provides a step-by-step roadmap for what are the things that you should be thinking about in terms, when you're doing your long-range planning for succession planning, not only issues about the state workforce, but also environmental factors that may impact the, number of retirees or the number of people that you're able to hire depending upon skill sets and emerging technologies and lots of things that impact succession planning. So we anticipate that the guide is going to be available by the end of March. And kind of the next steps include thinking through what kind of reporting capability we can build into that. So we're working with ITS on that because, of course, we want the agencies to be doing succession planning, but we also want to have an understanding of what they're doing and get some feedback so that we can kind of provide that, get that information in the aggregate and be able to come here and provide feedback to you and others on kind of the shape we're in with regard to succession planning. Another thing that I touched on in my testimony was workforce analytics, which is a new tool that we made available last fall. And that is on the desktop of every HR professional, HR directors at every state agency. And what that is going to allow them to do is have information at their fingertips about the workforce in terms of how many people are in which titles, the age of the workforce, where those people are, number of years to retirement, and other things that impact workforce. So we're very excited about it. We think that it's a very strong tool, and we've gotten a lot of good feedback from agencies so far in terms of the ease of using it and how they're using it. It's only been, a few months now, as I mentioned, but we're encouraged by what we're hearing so far.
In any of these discussions, does the issue of hiring ever come up in any of these agencies? Now, I understand they're under a zero-based budget, and they're told that they're not going to get an increase in their budget. But at some point, there has to be some acknowledgement that you cannot do the work without the workforce. And as the workforce goes away, it doesn't mean the work does, which is why we're seeing every year, I guarantee you, sometime in the next 2 months, we will see a front-page story about the level of overtime in the agencies, and they'll pick some poor employee who is forced to work 60 hours a week, not because they want to, because they don't have a choice, and their face will be on the front page of the paper, and their salary, and everyone will point at them and say, look at you're taking advantage of the system, when in fact they're not. So I know you think you guys have a good tool in place, and hopefully it works. I don't have a problem with consolidating old titles that don't make sense anymore, or making the agencies more streamlined, but you need to hire again. It's critically important that we hire, and we begin the next generation of state workers who are going to implement the many policies that we here in the legislature adopt and require that these agencies, actually live up to. So I've used up all of my time, but I certainly look forward to having this conversation again, and hopefully, we'll start to see some hiring in these state agencies.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you. Assembly?
We've been joined by Assemblywoman Titus, Chair of the Legislative Committee. She will be first to question.
Thank you. Hello, Deputy Commissioner.
Hello.
I just have a brief question. In last year's budget, there was $500,000 that was was put in the budget to establish a pilot program and for efficiencies in the recruitment, testing, and employee retention. I just want to know if you can give us the status of that pilot program.
Yes, and I believe I spoke a little bit about it before you came in, but yes, the Civil Service Reform Project is underway. The work groups have been meeting, and we think that we're moving along pretty well. Some of the recommendations that came out of the work group have already been implemented, and I touched on a few of those in my testimony, such as the title consolidation, what we're doing with succession planning. also what we're doing with exam system modernization or what is called, computer-based testing. Just this past year, on the last issue of computer-based testing, just this past year we released an RFI, and so that we could have vendors come in and kind of give us a preview of the technology that is available out there with regard to a computer-based testing. And that information is being used to kind of build a business case for an RFP, which we expect will be on the street in 2016. So we are moving ahead with that as well.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker will be Senator Liz Krueger.
Hi, good evening. I had run out for a few minutes, but I've caught up with the testimony. So I will have a few questions specific to the governor's proposal to change the formula of healthcare eligibility and premiums for retirees.
Yes.
So most healthcare premium and insurance deals through the state for employees go through collective bargaining. Has this been a part of the discussion of collective bargaining with any of the unions for the retirees?
I imagine that it will be, yes. I'm sure that some conversations have taken place, but of course that's more in the purview of the Governor's Office of Employee Relations.
But is it your understanding that while this is a proposal within the budget, it really needs to go through collective bargaining negotiations before it becomes actual?
I'm not sure that it's absolutely required. I will comment again. I imagine that that would certainly be a topic of collective bargaining. I don't want to comment on that. I will have to defer to Mike Belforte, who will be testifying after me.
Okay, I can follow up with him.
Okay.
And does your department have any concerns that if we do change the formula for retiree benefits effective X date, that we'll see a large number of individuals decide to retire right before that date in order to be grandfathered into the current law?
No, we don't have concerns about that. In fact, from our perspective, we believe that in the long run, it will encourage employees to work longer to attain the highest benefit possible.
So when we moved to the recent implementation of Tier 6 and higher health care costs in 2011, was there any changes in the retirement patterns of state workers right before the implementation?
I don't have that information, but I'd be happy to look into it and get back to you.
Okay. And I think my other related questions are really more appropriate for your next testifier. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you.
Thank you. Assemblyman Bronson. Assemblyman Saladino.
No question. So I believe you're done, so thank you so much for testifying today. We truly appreciate it.
Thank you. It's been my pleasure.
Our next speaker is Michael N. Belforte, Interim Director of the New York State Governor's Office of Employee Relations. Welcome.
Thank you. Chairwoman Young, Chairman Farrell, and honorable members of the Assembly and Senate. I'm Michael Belforte, and I serve as the Interim Director of the Governor's Office of Employee Relations, also known as GOER. Thank you for the opportunity to appear before you to address Governor Cuomo's executive budget proposal for fiscal year 2016-17 as it relates to my office and the workforce. Before looking ahead, let me recap where we've been. During the past year, GOER reached a collective bargaining agreement that covers the bargaining unit consisting of troopers in the Division of State Police. That agreement continued to maintain the fiscal discipline established by the contracts we began negotiating in 2011, fair and measured wage growth, rebalanced health insurance premium contributions, and modest practical changes in the design of our health plan. That settlement with the troopers brought us to a total of 13 out of 14 negotiating units being covered by agreements through either April of 2015 or 2016. We are currently in negotiations with the one unit of employees without a contract from that period, but both sides are actively engaged in negotiations and hope to resolve the issues that remain shortly. Additionally, 2 collective bargaining agreements expired in April 2015, and negotiations are underway with both of those unions, the Public Employees Federation and the Police Benevolent Association of New York State, Inc. We also continued our longstanding commitment to the education and professional development of the state workforce. Governor Cuomo is committed to protecting and educating the workforce to ensure that our employees know their rights, enjoy the most inclusive work environment, and deliver superior service to the taxpayers of our great state. We recently completed our second year of enterprise-wide training programs for employees, supervisors, and managers with a total of 9 training programs. These programs educated the workforce about the need to protect information, technology, and other assets, provided information to employees about workplace safety, and established a baseline for respectful and discrimination-free employment and access to government services by the public. We also launched a supervisory skills training to better equip frontline supervisors with the skills and tools that they need to manage the workforce. We continued partnering with the Department of Civil Service to provide both continued professional development training for agency human resource managers and tools that they can use to help their respective agencies to meet their missions and plan for tomorrow. Over the past year, we've also continued our commitment to the benefit programs that our employees have come to know and rely upon. We provided pre-tax benefit programs for health care, dependent care, and transportation expenses that save both the employee and the employer money. Support services also continue to be provided and available for the workforce. Information and events designed to improve quality of life, employee health and wellness, and guidance for those who experience personal injury issues were provided through the Employee Assistance Program. Looking ahead to fiscal year 2016-2017, our activities will focus heavily on collective bargaining. In addition to the negotiations already underway, by this summer, a total of 9 collective bargaining agreements will have expired. We will be actively engaged with each and every union in order to achieve fair and fiscally responsible agreements as quickly as possible. Under Governor Cuomo's 2016-2017 proposed budget, the workforce will remain stable, as it has for the past couple of years, and is actually projected to grow by approximately 250 employees. Further, contributing to workforce stability, there are no layoffs in Governor Cuomo's proposed budget. Moreover, in the coming year, my office will continue to deliver employee benefit programs and provide training and development opportunities for the workforce to enhance job skills. In conclusion, we are confident that in the coming year, while engaging in a frank and constructive dialogue with the unions, we will emerge with agreements that meet the needs of both the public we all serve and the employees who work hard to serve that public. Thank you again for the opportunity to speak with you, and any questions you have, I'll be happy to answer.
Thank you very much. Senator Liz Krueger, please.
Hi, I'm still trying to get my arms around the governor's proposal to change the premium coverage for retired state employees. And from your perspective, is there any concern that if we were to implement the governor's proposals, we would see people actually dropping out of NISHIP coverage and then ending up potentially on Medicaid, costing us more money in the long term?
No.
Why is that?
The proposals are to limit reimbursement. They're not to, they won't drive people to Medicare because that's where they already are at that age and time. So it's not going to, we're not expanding the universe of people who are going to go into that system. We are simply limiting the amount that the state will reimburse those individuals.
And so you don't think the math is such that we will see a change in pattern of retirees as they're moving forward choosing different options?
No.
No. Thank you.
Thank you.
Assemblyman Saladino.
Hi, thanks for being with us today. You know, as we progress on minimum wage issues and we institute more and more mandates, has there been thought given, or will we be providing more municipal aid as our local communities will have to catch up with the minimum wage, whether it's mandated or it's an effort to hang on to those good employees who might go to fast food and so forth. Will we be providing, assisting, and doing our part, our ethical part, to make our counties, towns, villages partners in this?
My area focuses on the state workforce, so I don't have any information on the funding of the local workforces. But as you all know, we've rolled out and begun the rollout of the increased minimum wage to the state workforce, and I think it's rolled out over a period of time to allow us and other entities to plan. So that's exactly what we as the state are doing, is planning within how we're currently living within our budgets in order to fully implement that increase.
Will you bring this information back in those planning sessions when we know the governor and the vast majority of us want to be able to keep local municipalities within the tax cap, that it's only right to include additional funding to local municipalities so they too can keep up with this extra cost?
I can certainly bring the issue back. Absolutely.
Thank you. That, by the way, that also applies to providing, to stay within the cap, to providing these local municipalities the extra funding they need to keep up with overtime that's generated from storms, the MTA payroll tax increases and the other payroll tax increases that go up when we generate more, when we need to generate more revenue for our workforce. Last year we had something like 13 natural events that required lots of overtime, and then increases in the payroll taxes that go along with that overtime to serve the public, provide for the roadways and safety on our roadways. So our local municipalities really need those additional funds to keep up with the items that we mandate here in Albany. It's only fair and ethical.
I understand.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Senator Funke.
Director, thank you. I think I'd know more about a microphone. Senator, Director, thanks very much. Just a quick question for you, just because I don't know. What are the length of the contracts that are being negotiated? Let's say the last contract that was negotiated.
We negotiated 3 lengths of contracts starting in April of 2011. We negotiated 2 agreements that were 4 years. We negotiated 2 agreements that were 7 years, and we negotiated the rest at 5 years.
And what were the raises associated with those, or were they all different as well?
They all followed the same basic pattern. There were 3 zeros, 2 and 2% raises. That was the 5-year pattern. The 7-year pattern have a 1.5% and a 1.5% raise on the end. The 4-year patterns were 3 zeros and a 2%.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Senator.
Assemblyman Bronson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Director, you, in your narrative testimony, indicated that there was roughly 180,200 current employees, and that you're anticipating an increase of roughly 250, slightly more than that. Could you tell me, how does that compare with the trend over the last 5 years? Have we stayed stable? Have we increased? Or where have we been over the last 5 years as a trend?
I'm most familiar with the trend for the last 3 years, and we've basically been flat to a slight increase over the last 3 years. Where that trend goes back before that, I have to get that information to you.
Okay. And are you involved at all in the use of contract, where you submit a bid for contracts and they do the work that could be done with state employees?
To the extent that it applies to my agency, absolutely. As the agency head, I would, approve those contracts or consider those contracts, and
Okay.
I know of the issue in other agencies.
Okay. So have we been using more contract employees to do the work that had been doing in the state, or has that also been stabilized?
My understanding is that that number is either has dipped or is anticipated to dip slightly in the next fiscal year.
Can you quantify the dip for us? Percentage-wise, raw numbers?
Percentage-wise, no, I can't. It is I'd have to get the exact information, but I believe that there is a contractor chart that the Division of Budget put forward with their original proposal, which contains all that information, but I can certainly send your office that information.
That would be helpful. In the, and if you know, let me know now, or you can give me the information later, but are there particular areas of work or professions where that dip has occurred? Is it a net dip? Have there been increases in some area? For instance, engineering, has there been an increase in engineering, but a slowdown in other contract workers for other areas, or don't you know?
Yeah, I'm not sure if there's specific sectors that have gone up and down, but I believe what I was speaking of was a net dip.
Okay. Does the report that you indicated was given to the Division of Budget, would that have particular sectors broken down?
I believe it has all the agencies in it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to announce that we've been joined by Senator Phil Boyle, and I don't believe there are any other questions on the Senate side. Any on the Assembly? Well, thank you, Mr. Volforti. We appreciate having you here today. Our next speaker is Mario Mussolino, Executive Deputy Commissioner of the New York State Department of Labor.